What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. It is Friday, April 13th, and we are here with some more lovely Diablo 3 news and discussion. I'm your host, as always, Dennis Force Duhamel. With me this week, we have got Kevin Sixon Carlino. Sir? Kevin, you gonna say hello?
I muted myself like a spaz.
All the time.
Well, like I said, I'm using this new headset, so it's like completely different. The old one was just a button I could just press, and this one's like a little slider thing, and I couldn't slide it. I felt like an idiot. I'm panicking, like, oh my god, I gotta talk. And anyway.
And Jesse Cox. Hello, Jesse.
Sir, how's it going?
Good. And this week, I'd like to introduce a special guest. Goes by the name of Jaded here on YouTube. He is a well-informed individual when it comes to Diablo, and we're excited to have him on the show. Jaded, how are you, sir?
Hi, I'm Jaded.
Yes, nice to meet you. You guys we had the most awkward introduction here with our podcast host about 10 minutes ago. It was pretty fantastic. Why don't you, Jaded, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you do on your channel, and I don't know, just plug yourself. This is your chance.
All right, well, I have a channel. It's youtube.com/itsjaded, and I have like 2 videos up. So
no, you've got you have like 15 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
What's important though is that they're high quality videos, and that's what matters, and that's why he's on the show. So
yeah.
Actually, may I do a little plugging myself, Dennis?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Okay. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually really excited about this. Assuming nothing bad happens, which is usually not the case, I should be going live with my own like daily stuff on starting Monday, and we're gonna be like releasing a website this weekend and all kinds of cool stuff. So, like I said, assuming nothing bad happens, and usually something bad does happen, but assuming it doesn't, I'm gonna be doing live stuff starting Monday.
It's really exciting. Now you're working with EG, that's correct?
Yes, Evil Geniuses, the StarCraft 2 pro team.
And you're gonna have your own little kind of site on the side, this like part of the EG hub. Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to have my own. Basically, it's my own hub. I don't want to give out the link. I don't know if they started doing anything yet.
Yeah, probably don't do that. Yeah.
Basically, my own website is going to be launching within the EG site this weekend. We're going to do like a press release, and all the sponsors are going to publicize it and whatnot. And then, like I said, Monday I should be going live with my Diablo Daily.
And that's exciting because I think we're going to have some projects with that too. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. Diablo news, though, that's what we're here for. Starting off with some announcements, we'll be talking about the Diablo 3 countdown. Get some free stuff. Diablo Facebook page gets 2 million likes, and we get some crappy artwork as a result. 275,000 beta keys go out. IGN Barbarian Spotlight video. Taking a look at Imperius. Promo site unlocks, and then Portrait of a Champion ending soon. And then after that, we will be having some discussion about Beta Patch 16, the Blizzard's iteration process, being hit by melee monsters, buying items in the game, and yeah, there's a huge list today. So let's start off with the very first thing, which is the Diablo 3 countdown, and subsequently some free stuff for you guys. This is kind of exciting. Diablo 3 is, Blizzard rather, is teaming up with starting out with SteelSeries, and then kind of going out from there to give away some free stuff in preparation for the upcoming launch of the game. So beginning with SteelSeries, they do have a Facebook giveaway, which I know most of you probably hate the fact that that's on Facebook, but it is. I don't know what to tell you. Starting off with giving out some beta keys. I'm going to take a look here. I don't remember exactly what it was. They're giving away, I think, 30 beta keys, 5 Diablo 3 themed mouses, 5 headsets, and 5 mouse pads. And you can enter the giveaway right over on Facebook. And I think you just have to like invite friends or something, and it's one of the, it's just it's a marketing thing. That's what every giveaway on Facebook is. Tell all your friends about this, have a chance to win, and we get a ton of free advertising. So this is kind of exciting for anyone who doesn't have a beta key or would like to win a mouse and or headset or mouse pad.
And they're really
what?
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that the headset and the mouse are freaking awesome. Like, they glow red. It's so sick.
Yeah, I'm looking at the mouse right now. It kind of reminds me of not the Razer Naga, the Razer. what the other one is. I understand Steel Series, but it kind of like whatever like the Serpentis or it's some crappy Razor name. You know what I'm talking about.
Some mythological creature.
Yeah. Not the quality of the mouse, the name. I'm just saying. Razor names are all over the place. They're silly. Anyway, but yeah, it's got 2 buttons on the side. It has a button on top. The wheel is sort of like fiery. I don't even like. It's red, but it looks like it's like molten. And
it really is. There's lava inside of the mouse, so.
Yeah, there's symbols all over it, and the Diablo 3, of course, is on fire. So it's pretty amazing.
The headset basically works the same way. The ear, I don't even know what the hell to call them, bud piece things. They glow red. I don't know. It's just so sick, and like it's got just got the 3 on there, like claws. Ugh. It's awesome.
Now, is that a responsive? Is that like, I know the StarCraft one glows based off your APM. Is there anything like that for the Diablo glow, or?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
no, it's just red, but
yeah, it just glows red.
It looks
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
I don't get it. I mean, what? Do you look at yourself in a mirror when you play?
No, but when I lay in my bed, I can see it glowing red on my computer desk.
And what if a woman shows up?
Yeah, what if?
Exactly.
Yeah, what if she walks in, like she broke into your house and she sees you playing, and you're like, "Hey, baby, what's going on?" She's like, "Oh my God, those are amazing headphones and mouse."
I know.
They're
You're
so
getting some.
red. Yeah.
What's happening is you're about to get some. Diablo is helping you get some. Yeah. Don't question it. Just
Reasonable. That makes sense. Jada, do you have any of this Diablo-themed gear at all?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I use Razer stuff.
You use
mostly.
Razer stuff. I've been all over the Logitech. I'm pretty content with Logitech, to be honest.
Yeah, I used to be a pretty big Logitech guy back in the day, but recently
You've upgraded to Razer.
No, I wouldn't say that, but I went to Death Adder and I actually fell in love with it. So.
Is that the one with the two on the side? Is that what that is?
What?
What?
Never mind. F it.
I think the Death Adder is the one that they were going to make left-handed if they got enough likes or whatever.
Yeah. I'm at buttons on the side, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
Just has 2 on the side.
I think that's the one I had before, and then somewhere in my mind, I thought, man, I have so many games that why don't I just get the Naga, because it has a million freaking buttons on that thing. I think I use only 2 on the side.
Yeah.
Like, I have all these other... Like, there's no reason to have it. I'm just like, I should get it. It's
good. It would be good for something like WoW with all the keybinds that you have to do, but...
No, you have to have the most nimble... if your hand is bigger than, like, that of, I don't know...
Small child.
Chimpanzee. Yeah, a small child. Chimpanzee child, whatever. There's no... Like, it is impossible. I can do the first 2 rows easily with my thumb, but there's 4 rows of buttons, and how are you supposed to reach all the way back there and make that faster than just pressing a key on a keyboard is ludicrous. I don't understand it.
I've always wondered how that could be efficient at all. I've never thought like 14
buttons
for your thumb, your big fat thumb, is going to be efficient or very accurate. I'm pretty
and then you have to switch between different formattings for it. So I have like an FPS one and a WoW one and a Star Wars one and a Diablo one, and you have to switch the different Mises that have 2 on the side are so much better.
Yeah.
So this Diablo one, it is being picked up.
It looks sharp.
Just because it looks awesome. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll probably end up using it.
Absolutely. So onto that giveaway, though, onto the Diablo 3 countdown. Like we said, as of now, they are doing that Steel Series giveaway. That is for this first week. In subsequent weeks, there will be giveaway via Jinx, which will clearly be apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, stuff like that. Insight Editions, and that is the company, I believe, that published.
Yep.
It's the publisher for Book of Cain?
I think they actually had some of the artists work on it with Blizzard guys as well.
Okay, but I believe the giveaway through Inside Editions will be something related to the Book of Cain, maybe something signed. And then lastly, Brady Games, which are those terrible generic strategy guides. So, if you want one of those. I have never found that useful in my entire life. I think the only time I ever used a strategy guide, and I'm probably going to get reamed out for this, was in Ocarina of Time. I think that's the only game I ever used a strategy guide for.
Wow. That's... What? Not even gonna bring it up. I don't even want to know why.
Well, I wanted to find all the hearts and stuff. That stuff's impossible to find. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
The The only time I ever buy strategy guides was for Final Fantasy games. Turns out for 13, you didn't need one. 'Cause there's no way you're getting lost.
Yeah.
That's a joke because it's so linear and it's a bad game.
Diablo 3's Facebook page got 2 million likes. Big surprise. And with it, like I said, we got some, I don't know, artwork. Why?
Wallpapers.
It's cool, I guess. I just don't.
Yeah,
What would they give you, honestly? I mean, they
Beta keys
do that all the time.
to all 2 million people who liked the page. That's the.
What are
Same beta
these?
keys.
What are these cover photos for? Like, I never understood.
I think it's supposed, like how the Facebook thing does a new banner or whatever. I think it's
like
that.
the
I think you're
timeline
supposed to
thing?
like be able to use this as your cover photo on your Facebook page, if you want.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
That's
true.
fair.
Because as like looking at it, dimension-wise, that would make sense. Because
Yeah.
the dimensions do not fit a monitor unless you have a really wacky monitor, like 16 by 3 or something. I don't. That's literally what it looks like. So. Yeah, but I think that's what it is supposed to be for. Like, hey, put this on your Facebook page and help us advertise Diablo if you love it so much. Something like that. But anyways, yeah, we got some new artwork and yeah, I don't know. I just don't care. I just don't. But
Yeah.
Jesse is right. What else are they going to give us, So
It seems like one of those things where maybe they underestimated the amount of likes they'd get.
it's like, crap, we got to come up with something.
Because
Yeah.
usually, a lot of game or companies, 2 million is like, we'll release a special trailer for you. 2 million and here's some free artwork is kind of like, meh.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I mean, even like they could take 5 minutes of gameplay footage from Act 2, and I think people would be more excited about that.
That may probably be the best thing they could have done. Just show any part of the game beyond what's in the beta.
Right.
Even if it's like, this is Phil, he's an intern, and he's playing.
Yeah.
It still would be, people would just go crazy for it.
Yeah. It's just hard for me to care about something like this. I just don't. That's all. But I guess it's better than nothing. They don't have to give us anything at 2 million likes. They weren't like contractually obligated to do so. So, yeah. 275,000 beta keys are going out. There is a good chance that many of you listening will get one of these. That's just a lot of keys to be thrown out there. Now, they're in the process of these going out and unlocking on accounts and everything. So just because you might check now to see if you have it and you don't, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be included in this. There's certainly a possibility of that happening. And as we've talked about in the past, when it comes to beta keys and seeing if you have it or if you've been invited, it's not optimal for you to be checking your email address. The best thing you can do is to log into your Battle.net account and see if it has been unlocked under your games. And I suggest doing so, because a lot of people have been like, holy crap, I'm in the D3 beta now. This is awesome.
Yep.
So, this is pretty exciting for a lot of people I know. And it's funny because as we get closer and closer to the release, it seems like they're just throwing out more and more keys. And I don't know that I still don't know that they're ever going to go open. And
Nah.
I mean, looking at this massive number too, you would think some people are going to be like, if they're giving away 275,000 keys, almost a little bit over 250,000, why don't they just open up the beta? I don't know. It's because it wasn't too long ago that they gave out, was it 100,000 or 200,000, the last big chunk? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Does it matter?
I think it was 100,000.
Yeah.
100,000, yeah.
So it's just, I mean, this is a ton to be given out. And you know what's funny too? I bet there's a lot of people, and this probably sucks for many of you guys to hear, but I bet there's a lot of people who get invited who don't know and never find out because they're just they don't like stay on top of it,
There was a post in the WoW forums, which one of the Blues commented on, and it was like, yeah, so I looked logged into my beta or my Battle.net account to check to see if I was in the Mist of Pandaria beta. And I was in the D3 beta, and I got mad, or something like that. Like, why would they do this to me? How could they put me in that instead of the Mist of Pandaria? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. No, but I guarantee it happens. I bet people, opted in a long time ago, and they just don't follow it closely, and they just don't even know. I guarantee that's going to happen.
Probably.
Do you have something to add, Jesse?
No, I was just thinking that, from a shrewd marketing standpoint, they have no reason to make it open. I mean,
Yeah.
the only time you see open betas are when companies really want your attention. And I think Blizzard assumes they already have your attention. And by keeping it in a sort of a closed beta, but we're going to just throw out all these keys, you're still going to have that mystique of like, oh, I didn't get in it, but man, I'm going to be the first to buy it when it comes out. Right? So, I mean, that's just from a marketing standpoint, it's smart. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think this does drum up the hype a little bit too, simply because it's not completely open at all. So
Right.
it's gonna whenever even the smallest amount of keys go out, it gets back into headlines for all Diablo fan sites and Reddit and everything like that. Instead of like if they were to open it up right now and then maybe a couple weeks ago, well, since everyone's in the beta, I don't know, maybe it's not as breaking news kind of stuff, That's what I think, at least. Who knows? New Spotlight video went out, courtesy of IGN. They initially did the Demon Hunter Spotlight video, and then just recently they have released the Barbarian Spotlight video. And of course, with this, we're fully expecting them to take care of the other few classes as well. Really disappointed that I didn't get to make these. But they're pretty neat. I guess it's nothing really new. As with the last time this happened with the Demon Hunter one, we get to take a look at some new enemies and areas as well. But we haven't learned anything new about the Barbarian in this really. This is again one of those cool things where it gives a little bit of lore, kind of sets you up. It's like a beginner introductory guide to the class and to the game. And IGN is working on this series. So if you haven't seen that yet, I would go take a look. Pretty neat, if nothing else. Major spoiler coming up next. If you hate spoilers, I would shut this off or something. Imperius, the Archangel of Battle? Valor. A little GIF came out from him, or GIF, however I pronounce it, and man, he is
badass.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. For those who don't know, go. This is a plug for the book. Go get the Book of Cain.
Yeah.
It'll give you all the lowdown and all the different. What they're not a council. What are they? They're these
Anguirus Council.
Oh, all right.
They are.
Never mind. Yeah. But it's all the different angels besides Tyrael, and this guy looks amazing.
Yeah.
No, Tyrael's in there too. He's the Archangel of Justice.
No, but I mean, it's the other ones. It's not like it's all the you'll learn about everyone
other than
else
Tyrael.
but Tyrael. Yeah.
And I think he's the top dog there. I mean, he's definitely alpha male in the
yeah, sort of, kind of
in the council. At least I'm thoroughly impressed with this little 3-second clip here. I cannot wait. I really hope we fight him at some point.
I honestly, I was about to say the exact same thing because for some reason, the way he looks with that like red aura, right? To me, it screams like even though he's quote, air quotes a good guy, like he's probably one of those good guys who's like, we must maintain the order of things. Like we have to keep fighting. We can't end this. One of those things.
I'm pretty sure that's
so
what
you
it
have
is.
to beat him.
That's exactly what he is. Basically, when Sanctuary came to be and they had that little vote back during the Sim War, Imperius was one of the guys who was like, hey, we can't let the Nephilim stay alive. We got to kill them. And he was always the one guy that was like, getting his jollies off of fighting the demons and whatnot. And so yeah, that's basically him. Yes, he's good, sort of. Like, I mean, there really is no good and bad. It's just like light and dark, and whatever side we kind of like better is what we can like. I mean, basically that's like what the humans are around for, like to keep that balance. If either side ends up getting an advantage, like horrible things are gonna happen. Yeah, that's kind of the point. But yeah, that's Imperius in a nutshell.
Yeah, because if you look at his story in the Book of Cain, and then you look at like just that, this is all just based off a like 5-second GIF animation, but it's the thought is either his character can either go one of two ways. Either he's the guy who the entire time gives you a hard time and is totally in your face and at the end saves your life, or he's the guy who like is like moving the pieces behind the scenes, and he's like one of the final bad guys. one of two. Either way, I'm super freaking excited.
Yeah, I hate to say this too. There's I see a little bit of Lich King in him. I just have to say it. I'm sorry. I just there's a little bit of Lich King in him. I don't know if it's the mask or what.
He looks less angelic and more like fiery, which has that like sort of evil undertone, especially in Diablo.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I'm excited, and there's a lot of, this is a spoiler yet again. There's a lot of talk about how Imperius might actually be the fallen star that slams into Tristram. He's coming down all pissed off, like, what the hell's happening here in Sanctuary?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing down here?
I am so excited for this game. You have no clue.
Yeah.
I think actually you three do, but people watching right now have no clue how excited I am.
Just this alone, this clip is like, all right, this game's awesome.
see, if they would have released something like that, like for $2 million, we're gonna give you a minute long scene.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. That's the 10th unlock for the 100% unlock for the reveal site is like a video of Imperius.
I mean,
I wonder if
this is enough hype for the world. I'm super excited.
Jada, do you have? Are you much up on D3 lore? Is that something that you follow at all, or you're just about the gameplay?
Not really. I'm not a huge lore buff. I don't get into story, but when it comes to like Blizzard cinematics, like you have to get excited for that. They're just done so well and they're so beautiful. So
yeah, this is that. I mean, that's literally the first thing I thought. I was like, this looks friggin' amazing. Although the resolution isn't good, it's like a lot of pixelation, but it's still, you can tell that the final product is going to be baller. I'm just waiting because I know the next step here is he's going to step forward and slam that weapon into the side of someone's head. Like that is the next animation to come.
And I mean, considering what we get in the beta right now, like we get these kind of cheesy cutscenes, like with Cain getting attacked by skeletons.
Right.
We don't really get any cinematic stuff like this yet, so.
Yeah, it is gonna be awesome. 1 month away, my friends. We're so close. So very, very close. Promo site unlocks. Speaking of which, Kevin just mentioned how we're going to be getting that video of Imperius. It's actually isn't supposed to be a video like of a battle between Imperius and it's a video of the Great Conflict, right? Like a portion of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of unlocks, I wanted to briefly hop on over to the promotional site. We mentioned it last week. This is the promotional unlock site for the release of the game, and participating in it helps unlock it faster, technically. And last week, the featured character was the Demon Hunter. This week, we have got the Almighty Barbarian. He is featured this week, and you get a little bit of information about him. You can look at this week's hero, kind of the story and everything like that. And the unlocks that we have had so far, firstly, we have a developer diary that was unlocked. A little bit of discussion with Jay Wilson, Christian Lichner, and lead software engineer Jason Regier? I'm so bad with names. It's embarrassing. Also, there was Diablo 3 Book of Cain unlock. I don't understand this, Kevin. The Book of Cain's out. What exactly do we have here? What was the point of this?
It wasn't all that cool. I mean, it was just supposed to be like an excerpt. I mean, I guess just because they can't have way too much cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So they got to kind of offer something to slow us down a bit.
I suppose this is them plugging the book, though, so that people, after reading this, want to go out and buy the book. But if you already have the book, like I do, it's pointless. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, and anyways, if you haven't seen it yet, check out the developer diary. It's pretty interesting. Now, from what I understand, this was filmed a while ago, right?
2011, February 2011 is what it said. Yeah, that was last year.
Weird. Am I the only one who thinks that's weird? Why they're giving us a video filmed in because they're talking about like the 2011 release date. I'm sitting there scratching my head like what?
Yeah, at first I thought it said February 2012, and I'm like, well, how could it still be out in 2011? Like, oh, that's a funny joke. Wait a minute. So I looked back, and yeah, it was 2011. I mean, I'm assuming that they wanted, well, as you can already see, that they wanted to release the game in December of last year. So these videos were supposed to come out December of last year, 5 months ago at this point. So that's why they were doing this, right? Because they were supposed to be out 5 months ago.
Maybe what's going to happen is we'll get. I'm assuming from that point we're going to get the progression up until the last developer, because they're going to be like 5 developer diaries or something.
Yeah, I believe so.
So the most recent developer diary will be like now, like, hey, we're finally, releasing the game, and although we thought it was coming out 6 months ago, it's now here. So great. I thought it was weird. It was like as this brand new unlock, we're getting old footage. But I guess if it's kind of like supposed to be the making of, or like kind of here's how we progressed, then that makes a lot more sense. So
Right.
it's interesting, nevertheless, though, to hear them talk about kind of the development process and where they were at that point in time. And it's also pretty interesting looking at where we are now, seeing this for the first time and being like, wow, this is like, that was their headspace at this time. They were set to release this game at this point. This is where they thought they were. They thought they were on schedule. And then just to know how things have unfolded since then, I think that that's interesting. And we will actually be talking a little bit more later on kind of about their development process, and it's interesting. So take a look at the promotional site to get some more information about the Barbarian, and to also check out those most recent unlocks.
Also, before you skip over this, you can actually go there and get sigils that will be unlocked for your banners. And I don't know if they're doing this again later, but like once the class is over, you like can't get them anymore.
Yeah, so that means we can't get the Demon Hunter one right now, because
There's going to be a grace period. After all 5 classes are already out, they're going to let you go back and be able to get each of the 5 classes throughout like a week or so.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Also.
Yeah, so I guess that's good, because I didn't do the Demon Hunter. So people are gonna be like, Forrest, what the F? I thought you were like all about Diablo. Yeah, I don't know. I tried doing it and it wouldn't work, and I like uploaded my picture twice and it didn't go through, and I said, that's it. 3rd time, not gonna happen.
There was some problems the first week, so I just kind of went back and did it just in case. But you don't even have to upload a picture. You could just use the default one.
Which is what? What do they even have? They just have like some random thumbnails or whatever?
Yeah, it's just like a background, Diablo background or whatever. So.
Cool. Yeah, so this is going to continue to take place up until the release of the game, and I guess as Kevin and Jaded said, you'll still have a chance to unlock those sigils if you happen to miss them, and if you would like to have those in-game.
Real quick, too, about the dev diary stuff. The most interesting thing for me was, I don't know the guy's name, but the guy on the right, he was growing a Diableard. And
yeah, Lickner.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still doing that, but it'd be interesting to see, like, over the dev diaries, people's beards getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. It's funny because they started doing that last fall, right? Was it like around the beta that started happening, or that was before?
No, because in the video it was February last year, and he said that some of the guys were doing that. So yeah, like part of the D3 team was doing that back during the beginning of last year.
Yeah, I guess they just brought it out to the public much later, but they were doing it internally already.
Right. That's funny, because I mean, I remember at BlizzCon, like, talking to a few guys who were doing it, and, Kevin, what's the name of that one guy who really looks like a barbarian?
Matt Panapinto.
Yeah, he had the most, like, super impressive Diablo.
Yeah, from the press event that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was but yeah, I mean, I can't imagine people are still doing it from February of last year. I feel like by now
they're
right? Shaved, given the fact that they've pushed back the release and everything. That'd be weird. You'd have like a rat's nest in there or something. It's a funny joke. All right. I want to let all artists know who are interested in participating in the Portrait of a Champion contest that it will be ending soon. Specifically, the contest ends at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on April 29th, which is a Sunday. So if you were hoping to participate in this, you're going to want to get cracking here, because you only have a little bit over 15 days left until you're able to do that, to actually enter into the contest. So yeah, it's almost done. Just want to let everyone know. Kevin, you're participating in that, right?
Oh yeah, because I'm a great artist.
You're a great artist. Diablo 3 beta patch 16 went through. Patch notes went live on Sunday the 8th, and I think shortly after the patch notes went up, we actually had the service go live. I don't know, there were a few changes, nothing major from what I recall. in patch 16? I have the patch 14.
Yeah,
notes
there
up,
was.
so it's not helping.
Yeah, I mean there was nothing like big. It was just some class changes. I think they redid some of the gold costs. Yeah, adjusted gold costs for crafting for recipes and whatnot. And I don't know. I guess they did add a new effect to Captain Dalton in Act 1. Like he's got this little frozen orb kind of a thing. I mean, yeah, it's just like small little things. It's nothing huge really.
Yeah, one thing I guess worth noting is that they reduced the cooldown for swapping skills while in normal difficulty has been decreased from 15 seconds to 5 seconds, and I think it says specifically in normal difficulty, so I have to imagine that in additional difficulties it's still 15 seconds. I think this is really helping to kind of reinforce the notion that your first playthrough of the game is really like a tutorial. It's about, kind of getting used to your skills, the system, the combat, and everything like that. And I can't see how this was really necessary, but I guess they just really want to make it nice and simple when it comes to swapping skills in your first run through of the game. So this is what they have decided to do. It's also important to keep in mind, we talked about the Nephilim Valor system. That whole thing doesn't come into play until Inferno. Right. That's what it. Yep. Yeah. So
did they add buyable rings? Was that always there, or is that just something new I noticed?
Yeah, they added that.
They added it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought for a second I was thinking about it. Like, was that always there? Because that seems like something that would have been, but I guess they just added that.
Because it's funny, there were, there used to be rings that were dropping all the time, and then they were like, all right, rings now drop later in the game, so you can't access them in the beta. And then they add it to, I think his name's Radik the Fence, the vendor in town, and he now sells rings, and pretty good ones as well. He's got 2 to 4 damage rings, which were like pretty optimal to be using in the beta. Pretty massive TPS increase by getting those. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it'll be cool to have those at release because I will definitely scoop those up as fast as possible. Purchase 2 of them if you can. I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, they're also random too. So like the first time I went and bought them, I got lucky and there was 2 to 4 damage and 5% attack speed on them, which is like kind of ideal.
Yeah.
But that's kind of random. You can get like Magic Find and other junk on it.
Yeah. I wonder if it's per game, so you could, if he doesn't have what you want, you leave game and you start a new one. And
I believe so. I believe it's
Probably.
different every time.
I mean, it should even be different if you go out of town. At least that's how it was in Diablo 1 and 2.
It should be, but I don't think it is. I'm not positive.
That'll be interesting. I guess that's something I'll probably take a look at to see, because obviously, I would assume people are going to want to continuously reset that until they get the stats that they desire. And yeah, that is pretty cool to have that, because even the vendors in town, when you're doing a first playthrough of the beta, there's some pretty sweet gear that you can get, like some pretty massive upgrades. A lot of the times when I'm, whenever there's a beta patch and there's a character wipe, so it's, equivalent to what it'll be like at release, a lot of times I end up using weapons that are sold from the vendors for a significant amount of time until I actually end up getting some upgrades, either from crafting or from drops. So yeah, it's pretty neat, just keep resetting until you get those stats that you want. Although I suppose too, to be honest with you, at that point in the game, first run through of normal, it's not really that important to kind of have min-maxing and optimal, because whatever you get, like you could just wear junky gear and it'll still be,
I think
worth it.
I think the biggest notice is when you upgrade your weapon, because the starting weapon is just trash.
Yeah, so that's definitely, if nothing else, the weapon. And again, like I think the rings are going to be pretty significant. Those are going to be worth picking up. But the armor pieces and stuff, I don't suppose that's that necessary.
Yeah.
Isn't really that important. And
Another thing from the notes here, they actually added a cool thing to Smokescreen, because before Smokescreen wasn't really that interesting over Vault, because Vault gets you out of the situation. Smokescreen just, you're invisible and then you can run out of the situation. Sort of the same thing, but now they added you can now use it while under crowd control effects. So say if you're stunned,
that's really
you can
good.
now use it. and then it gets you out of that stun, and then you're also immune for the duration of the smoke screen. So I think that's going to be really good for PvP also later on.
That's so it's pretty much cloak vanish.
Right.
And I'm curious if smokescreen, like, are you gonna show up invisible to someone in PvP, or because that sounds pretty strong.
I think that is supposed to be the case. I'm pretty sure that's how it's. I'm assuming that is how it's going to work. At least I know that the witch doctor had something that's kind of equivalent to that.
Yeah, the spiritual
Spirit walk,
right.
spirit walk or whatever. Yeah.
And I know that with that in PvP, I remember from the video he was invisible to the wizard, which was the kind of the frame of view for that PvP video they showed us. So.
Could you attack though in Spirit Walk, because you can attack in Smokescreen and you're still invisible?
It doesn't break it? I thought it broke Smokescreen when you attacked.
Not to monsters that I noticed. Like they don't aggro you for a while.
That'd be super strong.
Yeah, it'd be really strong. So maybe in PvP you like flicker if you attack or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
but I mean the simple fact. The ability to smoke screen aside, whether or not you go invisible or not, the fact that it's a break and immune to CC is huge, and that probably guarantees that is going to be used in PvP.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe Vault's gonna take away roots. Like if you're rooted in place, I don't think that Vault is gonna get rid of that. So
You could also use Evasive Fire as sort of a substitute for Vault, if you needed that mobility.
right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That is a pretty awesome change. I had honestly not even read into that. I haven't since the most recent beta patch. I haven't run through with a Demon Hunter at all. So
It's funny, I ran through with the Demon Hunter. I didn't even notice this till I read the patch notes, because I don't think it's on the tooltip.
really,
Yeah, I might be wrong though.
that is awesome though. That is a pretty phenomenal change, to be honest. Good catch. I don't think there was anything else significant. Was there anything that you needed to mention, Kevin, from that? Treasure goblins now are more affected by slow stuns and movement impairing effects, but they also have a sprint attached to them. Scavenger monsters now burrow less often, but we never encountered that in the beta anyways. So
Yeah.
and there was something with the zombies not feeding off of corpses. Holy motorcycle outside. Jesus, outside.
Yeah, really.
And that is pretty much it for the patch notes. Not a whole lot there. Next up, wanted to talk a little bit about the Blizzard iterative process. There was iterative. There was some discussion on the forums about how they've really honestly been tuning the game for about a year and a half, and it wasn't kind of what they at least intended. It's not what they thought was going to happen. Specifically, what Bashiok said was that obviously back then we didn't know that our testing and polishing would reveal that we were unhappy with some of the game systems, which were either removed for redundancy or being sucky, reworked for various improvements, or we needed to add completely new ones. But I don't think anyone was surprised. We test, we iterate, and we refine. We test some more, etc. So they thought the game was done a year and a half ago, and then they go into, working on their iteration, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wow, we don't like this system. I mean, we can specifically look at the runestone system that saw some major changes. It was just last spring and summer where runestones were, runes were items that dropped in the form of runestones that we would socket into our skills, and now it's completely different. Now it's just like a separate hierarchy of a skill tree, kind of. It's like a subset of all the skills. I mean, that's a major change that they went about doing, and with that, they got rid of all the rune levels and everything like that. I mean, that is a massive overhaul that they had to do. And then also, just recently, the fact that they've scrapped the PvP for launch and are launching it later also tells us quite clearly they were not happy with the PvP in the game, the arena system.
PvP, they took out the Mystic, the Stone of Jordan, the Cube of the Nephilim. They took out so much in the last, not even just year and a half, but just recently even.
Yeah, there was a small section there where they just kind of gutted major systems over and over and kept releasing that information.
Yeah. And so the point is, we look at something like this, and I think I don't recall too much about the WoW development. I know that, I really got into WoW when it was launched, but pre-launch I didn't really follow it that much. But as far as I'm aware, this is kind of the first development process that we've had kind of full eyes on for quite a long while. And, you know, we've seen this whole process. We've seen these changes take place. We've seen major systems come and go and be altered, be removed, be promised at a later date through a patch. Like, we've seen this whole thing take place. And I know this is something that we've talked about before, but I did just want to retouch on how... Is this a good way for them to be doing it? Should they be kind of openly revealing their development process? How do we feel about it as fans? Is it a bit too much for us to handle? Are we going to go into cardiac arrest if we get another change? What's like this whole process? I just find pretty interesting because most other games and most other game companies don't do this throughout their development process. They don't tell us about every single change that takes place. And I think that Blizzard being so open has had some positive, but I think it's also had a bit of negative as well. And we'll start with you, Jesse. I'd just like to know kind of how you feel about this process and maybe in comparison to other games and everything that's transpired.
I almost feel like there is a method to the madness here, and I'll try to break it down in the least conspiracy theory way possible.
I don't know. We like conspiracy theories.
But, all right, follow me here. I'm not you talked about WoW, and I'm not sure how much you remember from way back in the day, but when WoW was being released, it went through hundreds of changes. In the last year leading up to the game, there was so much that, as an example, what they had all these promises, there was so much that they still had left to do. There was all these promises about what they would do. So, for example, they said that they would have class-specific heroic classes. So, an undead warrior would become a death knight. A night elf hunter would become a demon hunter.
I was
like
really
that.
excited for that. I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why my very first character, who I only played for like 4 weeks till I switched to my shaman, was an undead female warrior. Because one, unarmed, they looked badass because it like crawled around on the ground. But two, I was like, I can't wait to play Death Knight. That's gonna be amazing. And they scrapped that after, I think sometime before Molten Core was released. They were like, no, we're not gonna do that. And people were all pissed at, you know, the way it is when you say you're gonna do something and they scrap it. Just like Path of the Titans or a bunch of other things they promised for WoW. They said, we're gonna do it, and then the game is released and it's not in it, and people are like, what the hell is this? Right? And so I think in this case, when it comes to Diablo, I almost have a feeling that a lot of the changes, and I think we talked about this before, a lot of the changes seem to be focused on best making it available to console players and how to work that into the whole scheme of their push and development. And so I almost wonder if it wasn't sort of a meeting or something along the lines that would have happened where someone said, hey, we have an opportunity to release this on Xbox. What do you guys think we should do? And it was decided, rather than release it first on PC, have it out there for a little bit, and then later on release it for Xbox and change stuff while the game exists already, they just said, why not make the changes now, hold off on the game, and then release it so the people on PC will have the exact same experience as people on Xbox, and no one will have like a shit fit about them dumbing it down for console players. And so maybe we've had that conversation where it's like, oh, maybe they're just making it easier and they're dumbing it down. But it's better to have it now when it's in development than when the game is released and people can complain about the product that's out there.
Yeah.
And so perhaps they have this all planned out, and like this is how they're doing it.
I've got two things. One is actually a reply to Jesse, and the other one is back on topic. Not that this is gonna be off topic, but we know that they wanted to release the game the end of last year. Like that was
Right.
the goal, to release at the end of last year. And that was what they thought they were going to be doing in February, which I want to say February of last year. I mean, which I want to say the whole console announcement exploration thing was already out there. So I want to say that I don't think that the console really affected the release date. I guess.
Yeah, when you think about it, the changes since that time, though, have been on this sort of console trajectory. The buttons are enough that it matches all the different buttons on a controller. I mean, they've simplified it enough where you'd have to be an idiot not to understand how to use the menu system and stuff. I mean, they've made the game much more easy to get in and get out of. To me, it seems like, even though you're right, we're probably going to throw this on a console thing. That was discussed a while ago. But perhaps this hypothetical secret cabal meeting that I have in my mind is they got together and said, why not just change it all now rather than changing it all later? Because clearly you can't have the menu system they had before and the control system they had before on a console.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but I completely agree. It would have looked ridiculously silly for them to release the game 5 months ago and then do all these ridiculous overhauls. Like, that would have been so many changes. It just would have been silly.
Right.
I agree with that.
It seems like this was it's sort of a plan of just, well, let's change it now. It's in beta. You know, it's still on people's radar, but no one can officially judge the game yet. So any changes we make, there aren't going to be people who are like, oh, it was better the old way, because there was no old way. Like, you can't complain about a game that hasn't been released yet, that kind of thing. And it's honestly, if that's what they did, it's a real smart move on Blizzard's part. Because, yeah, go for it.
I kind of wanted to offer up my opinion on why they've done this, Dennis, and I think that's because they announced the game back in 2008, and they needed to have some kind of hype. I don't think they envisioned the game would take another 3 years to be released, actually 4 years at this point. I don't think that they really envisioned that. I think they probably expected the game to come out a little bit earlier. I mean, if we look back at the original gameplay trailer, you know, the demo and all that stuff that they released, it looked good. Like, it looked like a playable game then and there, and that was back in June or July 2008, whenever the Worldwide Invitational was, whatever. I don't know. I want to say that they kind of just had more of an open development with the community and the public, simply because of how long it's been going on at this point. They needed to show something. Like, they couldn't just have Diablo fall off. I want to say that they planned for doing it in 2008 because they were probably going to release the game a hell of a lot earlier than 2011 and 2012 at this point now. That's just my 2 cents.
Jaded, got anything to chime in there?
Well, I think a lot of game developers would love to have the transparency and the openness that Blizzard has, but truth is, it costs a lot of money and man hours and all this effort to do that. And I think that's kind of I love that Blizzard's so open with their games like that. They can get feedback. You know, that's the most important thing. So, I'm all for that sort of open iteration process.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand Jesse's points, because if you do look at the changes, it does, whether or not it was specifically tailored for that reason, it does make console porting easier. Even just something like the runestone system change. You look at the runestone, and one of the big things that they pointed towards as to why they wanted to alter it had to do with inventory management and having, you know, so many different runes and 7 levels of each rune and playing around with that. And as we know, you look at console RPGs and very few are able to manage inventories in a proper way, or at least an enjoyable way. And just something like that, I mean, let alone taking a look at the fact that the available skills has dropped down, you know, was it initially 7 and then 6, and then, you know what I mean? Just something like that too. Like, these changes have led to an easier transition into consoles whenever that does end up happening. And actually, I just wanted to quickly say, I got a question from someone. They said, if we think that the console version of the game is going to come out this year, that's a big no.
Yeah.
Maybe 2013 or 2014, but it's not going to happen in 2012.
Is it wrong that I'm going to use my predictive powers again?
No, that's
I was
fine.
very close.
You were close last time.
Very
so.
close last time. I was 7 days off. I'm going to say Christmas time. I'm going to say holiday
console?
season. Holiday season 2012. It'll be out.
No.
Trust me on this. Yes.
You
think I'm crazy? It takes a crazy mind to see inside Blizzard.
I just think they would give more headway than.
Right. They would have already announced it. Is what I think. And I don't even. In fact, they don't even have people developing the console game. They took the developers off the console game and put them on the PC game to get it out earlier.
Okay. I may be off by a year.
Yeah, that's
My
okay.
physical powers work
you know-
in strange ways.
Yeah, to be fair, all you said was Christmas time. You didn't give a specific year, so
That's
you could
true. I
mean
didn't say-
Christmas
I
time
didn't say-
2013, 2014.
You should have just said sometime
Imperius.
during a holiday.
Yeah. Holiday season. Yeah.
No specific holiday, just
There you
a
go.
holiday. And-
I just got that. Like, any holiday.
whatever holiday.
Yeah. Whenever.
It's interesting though, and I can't not just aside from the fact is maybe we can discuss about why these changes have taken place. It could very well be what Jesse said. It could also be that they were just unhappy with the way the systems worked on the PC version of the game, and they weren't even considering the console. Maybe that secret meeting never happened. But that aside, how has this affected kind of the perception of the game? I know a lot of people have had a lot of complaints, and I know, Jesse, you said that you can't complain about a game that hasn't been released, but people do. people do complain about the game that hasn't been released, and there's been
but it's mitigated. It's a mitigated complaint because it's only about people who are hardcore following the game.
That's true.
Most people who play the game or are looking forward to the game have played Diablo 1, Diablo 2, maybe not either of them, and just on hype are going to buy this one. And they aren't following with that much in-depth detail. And so by doing it now, it mitigates any damage by releasing it to a larger audience. In the same example that if, we were having this conversation not 10 minutes ago about, in original WoW, each class had its own heroic thing, and that was like something I really looked forward to. Never happened.
Yeah.
But people who weren't in the early beta or who didn't follow it very thoroughly would never have even known about that and would never have even cared. And so when it comes to stuff later in WoW, like during the big, when everyone was playing during Wrath, any changes made were like, you have ruined the game for me. And it continues on. Like, it's too easy, it's too hard, it's too easy. And so that's where they get a lot of flack on the forums and stuff. If you do all this stuff now, you save yourself a world of hurt later on.
Yeah.
This is how I see it.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And then one last thing I think I did want to just hear about quickly. I want to see if we can get you guys' opinions on this. Do you think that just this openness in general is a good thing for them to have done? I mean, they announced it, and I guess from that point forward, they really had no choice but to be open. But even with that announcement, do you think that it would have been better if we were just kind of kept in the dark until the beta started and we didn't know so much about the game? Or do you think it was wise of them to be continuously, updating us onto these major systems and then to remove those systems and everything? I mean, they didn't have to. The beta wasn't out at that point. They didn't have to reveal the Runestone system to us.
Right.
Maybe just because of BlizzCon, is it the pressure from these major events that they set up for themselves? They feel like they have to reveal stuff, even if it's not kind of final stages.
I mean, hype is a good thing. Like, there's absolutely, I don't even really know what to say. Like, there's a point at where you don't want to say something, but then on the other hand, it gets to the point where, okay, we have X number of years, months, whatever, until the game is released. We want people talking about the game. We want people theory crafting. We want fan sites out there. We want to be able to spread the word. I mean, obviously, it's Blizzard. They probably don't even have to do that, but in the end, they're gamers like us. Like, what's wrong with wanting to see people theory craft and discuss and whatever? Get feedback. If they didn't release some of this stuff, like the Runestone changes, you and I were talking to Jay Wilson about that at the press event. Like, well, you can't do that because you're gonna have these kind of problems. And he's like, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just kind of brainstorming at this point. We haven't even put it in the game.
Yeah.
And and that's that. And look, they completely changed what we had talked to him about.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you caused that change? 'Cause
Absolutely, 100%.
That's exactly
That's
what I'm
what
saying.
I hear. That's exactly what I hear.
Well, we also slipped him a 20 during that conversation, so just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
there was weight behind our words.
That's another 2 or 3 months of planning and creation. So, fans, if you're mad that it's coming out in May and you don't already have it, you know who to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
If you're gonna write us, make sure to send us a 20 because it costs us some money.
I'm so intrigued by their process in this whole thing, because I look at other games developments, and I mean, what was just revealed? Crisis 3 was just revealed.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that game's coming out this year, and we're just finding out about it now. it's just so crazy to me that they give us so much headway. They give us so much advance notice about these things. And I've said it before. I'm one of those individuals who I would rather not know about something than know about it way too early and then have to wait for it. You know, having to put myself in a frozen state like Cartman. Waiting for the next system. Like, that's just how I feel about those things. And I do personally wish that we didn't hear about Diablo 3 back in 2008. I wish they waited until 2010 or something.
I know.
Blizzard's an altogether different beast, though, when it comes to gaming companies, because of simply BlizzCon means that, I mean, that's not just for fans, but that's for investors and everyone else too now. And so they almost, I don't know if there's an obligation they feel, but I think
I think it forces them to have to say something.
Yeah, they have to say something.
That's why they didn't do them this year. Yeah.
I mean, because it just and I think I said that when we talked about that, when they said they weren't going to do a BlizzCon. I was like, good, because every other BlizzCon they have nothing to say, and so it's kind of like filler stuff. And this would have been one of those years, and so it's good they didn't, because the next one will be great. But I think that idea that they tried to do it every year meant that they had to have their 3 big franchises have information every year. And so it was like, just here's more and more and more. Doesn't mean it's going to be in the game yet. Doesn't mean the game's coming soon, but here's some information. And then just speculation of when these games will come out is just all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a problem of their own making, but I don't know if it's transparency on their part or the fact that they just felt like they had to give people something because they paid hundreds of dollars to go there to find out about it.
I definitely think BlizzCon has something to do with it. Them feeling like they have to reveal information so early. I mean, not many gaming companies have their own damn convention, you know? And so I think that as a result, they're able to kind of keep a little more hush-hush on these things and don't feel, I guess, pressured even. To have to come out with some sort of announcement, or else people are going to be pissed that there's nothing. I mean, what was it? There wasn't really much D3 information this year at BlizzCon. You know
No, not really. I mean, there was just a couple of
cinematics.
Yeah.
Actually, the Black Soulstone. Yeah, and the big Diablo 3 announcement was the collector's edition being given away or the collector's edition, and then the game being given away for free with the WoW annual pass. That wasn't a huge, like, as a Diablo fan, like, that's cool, but
I guess that was the first time we heard about their change for the PvP system, because it used to be, it used to be a single elimination thing, and then it turned to team deathmatch in a 4v4 scenario.
Really?
Yeah, because before that it was, you died once and you were out for the round, and then at last BlizzCon.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know that. I could have sworn that we knew that beforehand.
Pretty sure we didn't know about that.
Was that also the announcement of the Real Money Auction House? Was that there too?
That was in the summer.
Yeah, that was the press event.
Yeah,
so maybe this was the first time that you could actually ask them about it, because I know that was big. I had a lot of questions about that.
I thought we talked to Jay about that at the press event. I thought they decided that was going to be team deathmatch and not last man standing there.
Oh, did we? I don't know. You could be right. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But yeah, no, during the press event, the summer prior to BlizzCon, is when the Real Money Auction House was announced. Because I remember being like, this shit's crazy. Like, people are going to freak out about this. And people did, and people are still freaking out about it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a good segue. Because we're going to be going into... Segues don't work when you call them segues, by the way. We're going to be going into discussion about purchasing power in the Real Money Auction House. This has been brought up many times in the past, and we'll probably continue to talk about it pre- and post-launch of the game. Bashok has chimed in with his opinion on purchasing power in the game, purchasing items, and I just wanted to quickly read that off to you, and then we can kind of talk about it a little bit, because this is always going to be an interesting topic for discussion. It's interesting to think about for sure. There's certainly a separation for most people in that obtaining currency outside of the game and obtaining items worth currency within the game are exclusive concepts. That if you're playing the game and obtaining items, they are of higher value than having a job and being paid for it, which is kind of strange as real world currency is by far more widely valuable and usable. than an in-game item. Obviously, there's an exchange rate of sorts, and that will be worked out by the players to match the two, but I think it's interesting that conceptually, someone who works to obtain currency in their job and buy an item is perceived of as less than someone who was able to obtain it by playing the game. Logically, that's backwards, as a real-world job is not the fun and enjoyment of playing a video game, but that gets turned around within the context of wanting to compare skill and aptitude. He goes on to say that, looking at stuff like drop chance and how it puts so much randomization into what you acquire within the game, that it's not really, acquiring gear in Diablo isn't, I'm better than you because I got this. It's a matter of luck and time. And that's definitely true. It's one of those things. It's kind of, you look at the basic MMO and people talk about skills in MMO, and the default response to that is, you're not skilled in an MMO, you put a shit ton of time in to acquire gear. And no, that's not necessarily true, because there is a skill involved in PvP.
No, it's true.
Well,
It's
to
true.
a sense, not everyone can go to. I guess it depends on the game and how easy it is. But
I suck at WoW, and I have achievements and tiers.
Yeah, but
that
are you Gladiator
I have
every
things that,
season?
Like, only 10 people on the server have.
But are you
Like,
Gladiator
that kind of
every
stuff.
season, Jesse?
I don't do arena.
But people
I
would
just-
say that's because you can't, and I'm not saying that's
No,
the
I
case.
can't.
but-
Oh, I know I can't. I physically cannot do it. I suck at WoW Arena. But when it comes to raiding and things, when it comes to main guild events, I guess Arena you have to have skill. That's true. But when it comes to main PvP and guild events like raiding and stuff, it's all about time.
Just
It's
a
about
matter
the
of
time
banging
you
your
put
head
into
against
it.
the wall until.
Yeah.
something-
For example, we're on the Spine of Deathwing heroic mode right now, and it's just about the amount of time you put into it. The more time you put into it, the more practice you get, and even if you suck with enough practice, you can beat any boss in any MMO.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. So
And I mean, and that maybe that's even WoW specific, because I know a lot of other older MMOs are supposed to be gruelingly difficult, but I don't know. I guess that was just an example, but it's definitely the case here in Diablo, and Inferno is going to be a whole different beast, because there's going to be a lot of difficulty involved in it, and you can't really just run up to it and clear it instantly and keep doing it. But even then, it's the more time you put into the game, the better gear you're going to acquire, and that's going to make it much easier for you to do those things. You'll have more HP, you'll be doing more damage, you'll have more resistances, so things won't be hurting as hard. All that stuff's definitely true, and it really does come down to time. So the idea, the concept of, I spend 8 hours in a day playing Diablo to get this gear, or I spend 2 hours of income to purchase said gear. And there's all sorts of sides to this discussion, because you have to also consider the fact that people will say, well, first of all, I understand the time for money thing, but buying gear, like, you're working for 2 hours, that's not the enjoyment of gaming. That's not what gaming is about. That's not what gaming should be about. And there's people that don't want the real money auction house for that very reason, because they say it takes away from the enjoyment of playing the game. It's like, what's the point of buying gear if it means you're not playing the game to get that gear? Why even play the game to begin with? So this is definitely a big discussion, and we'll start with you, Jaded. I'd like to know how you feel about the notion of buying power, and kind of where you place value. Do you place more value on someone grinding for gear, or is it equally acceptable to you if someone just purchases that gear?
So when this first got announced, I was actually really bummed out, because nothing like this has ever been put into a game that costs money. This was always in stuff that was free to play, and I was pretty bummed out. But as time passed, I kind of saw both sides of it, and I'm kind of indifferent now. But something to think about too, another way to look at it is, people could be playing the game essentially right now, like farming essentially right now before the game's even out. Getting real money to buy items that aren't even, the game's not even around yet. And I don't know if that's a terribly bad thing, considering what are you gonna do with that right now? There's only PvE content. Maybe you'll get more views on your YouTube video because you did world first Inferno Diablo or something. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on that.
But regardless, I mean, and I think this was the point of the thread, or at least Bashok's reply. The item has to drop for somebody.
Right.
Whether or not you buy it, the item's still going to drop for somebody. So, if I'm out making money right now, just planning on buying stuff, the item still has to drop for somebody. So whether or not it drops for them or it drops for me, why does it matter? And I'm actually kind of disappointed and ashamed that we never brought this up before. I have no idea why we didn't think of this before, Dennis. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this so many times, and I don't think this has ever come up once. The item's got to drop. Period.
Yeah.
In order for somebody to buy it, the item has to drop. So whether or not I'm playing the person that it dropped for, or I'm playing against the person that bought it, why does it matter? The item dropped. Period.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I do think that we had brought that up in the past. I do think that we had mentioned that, it's going to drop for someone eventually, and if that person feels like instead of keeping it, they want to sell it, it's not like the item was materialized, out of thin air. And, conspiracy theorists will be like, it's important to note that, there's no names on listings in the auction house, and people are of the assumption that Blizzard will post items up because there's no way to prove that they don't. That's kind of a scary thought, to be honest. Without any listings or names, I guess that's certainly possible. I'm not saying Blizzard would or will do that. I guess ethically that's kind of wrong, because at least if they're not going to disclose it. But yeah, no, it's true. This item, it was materialized in the game on the Blizzard servers, and then the person who found it is either keeping it on their own character or giving it to another character. And it just so happens that the means of giving it to another character in this game can involve real money. It can involve in-game gold, but it can also involve real money. And I don't know if this is just a gaming trend, and as I, get older and have obligations and less time to game, I'm actually more and more okay with this. I can tell you right now, when I was a little punk kid, when I was a teenager, I would have been ripshit. I was like, this is stupid. What do you mean people with jobs can get the best gear? I play for 15 hours a day. I deserve the best gear. But it's definitely the case now that I do have less time to play, something like this is pretty appealing to me, because I can't play 12 hours a day anymore. It's not possible for me. And I'd like to still stay competitive, so I would like to trade my time for my money. That's how I feel about it. Jesse, anything?
The difference here that I see, though, is that barring any evil Blizzard conspiracies to sell you items, it's an economy of its own. So it's you could go off and work at your job. I could play in the game and get an item, but it benefits me as a player to have you as a player buy stuff with your real money, because I make money off of it.
Exactly.
So rather than it be, a website or a company or some random thing where it feels like you're cheating, right? Because in WoW, and let's say a lot of the free-to-play games, you can buy actual physical items, not just vanity pets and stuff, but items that really help you cheat through the game. Essentially, that's what you're doing. Let's be honest, buying your way through a game. It feels like it's somehow you're ruining the fun for everyone else. That's kind of what it feels like. That's why people get angry. But in this, it's a symbiotic. I have to go out and farm this stuff. I have to work hard. But all that work doesn't matter if you don't buy it. And if you don't buy stuff, I'm not going to go out and farm these things that I want to sell. So it's an economic system being formed around this game that I don't think we've necessarily seen in very many games before. So this could be really big, and people right now are getting worked up over the fact they're going to use their money, but at the same time, people are neglecting the fact that you then are gaining that money. Blizzard isn't the money isn't disappearing into the ether. You get that money for doing it, right? And that's why I think this is a big major leap forward in MMO or just online games in general, because it creates an economy within the game that isn't based off some fake rupees or gold or whatever. It's based off of real money, and so you can complain this guy can buy it all he wants. True he can, but so can you, and you can make money off of it if he buys it and you find the item. Because a lot of the times, and I know a lot of people have had this experience, you find an item in Diablo 2 or WoW or whatever you're playing, and it's totally useless for you, but is amazing, right? And you can put it on an auction house or whatever, and you can get your gold, but what if you put it on there and you charged real money for it, and then you got real money? Your attitude would change like you do a 180 on your beliefs on selling items in games. If you had physical hard cash.
Basically, like, in short, people that don't have time to play all day, they can pay for their entertainment, whereas people that do have time to play all day, they can play for money.
Yeah. And I think another really important thing that people do definitely need to keep in mind here is that this isn't an MMO, and someone purchasing gear doesn't negatively affect you. The only argument that will be drawn is when it comes to the PvP system, and the way that the deal is, though, the way the PvP system is structured, not competitively, no ranking system. You're not going to be number one PvPer in the world because there's no way of you to judge that. There's no internal system there that Blizzard will be displaying to the player base. So, as long as they continue. When people can buy gear, as long as they continue to have the PvP system not competitive and not ranked, then there's really no complaint to be had, because besides that PvP, which is meant to be kept as casual as far as Blizzard has told us thus far, everything is cooperative in the game. You know, you're just working with people, you're never really working against people, so someone purchasing gear doesn't harm you in any way whatsoever, and there's no reason to be pissed off if someone bought a sword, because it's not like that's going to be problematic for you at any point in time. That's and you know, it's also one of those things where you only ever see the people that you're playing with directly. You know, there's not some major town that you can walk into and you can be pissed off that guy bought his sword, because you know you never see him online. How'd he get that damn sword? Oh, he's
not
got
only
a
that,
job.
but you have no way of knowing whether or not he bought it or he found it.
Right. People actually want that. People want some sort of indicator, like if an item's placed on the auction house, you should put like a dunce cap on the player or something, so that it's known that they purchased.
The cool thing that I just thought of is in Inferno or whatever harder mode you're going to play at, once you reach a certain point, a lot of players are going to have to balance, you know, armor and weapons that upgrade their abilities, but also upgrade their item find. Yeah, like their chance to find better stuff. And so, because if you want to get involved with this, so that creates a whole nother subset of how to play this game, where you just you have all these benefits specifically for finding items, which would kind of be neat. So you're going through the hardest parts of the game, and you're getting, you know, it's even more challenging, but the rewards would be great.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the best thing is that going on Magic Find runs now means you have an extra $15 for some pizza or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's real world monetary. Now I want to ask you guys individually, and we'll start with you, Jaded. When you're looking at Diablo 3, do you think you're going to be a balance of purchasing and selling, or are you going to be a primary seller or a primary purchaser?
The thing about the gold or the real money side of things is it is a completely different currency. So you're taking something that you found, which, you know, is supposedly going to be really rare of a find, putting it up for sale, and that is taking that currency out of your hands essentially in the game. So I think for a while I'm not going to opt for getting real money for my stuff and just try to level up and get, you know, items to build up your character to be stronger. You know, that's I think how I'm going to do that.
Kevin, purchase, sell, both?
Yeah, I was thinking about this while Jesse was talking. I'm way too cheap to buy anything on the auction house, so I'm probably just going to get stuff, wear it, and then hopefully get something really cool to sell, assuming I'm, you know, not going to wear it.
Yeah. And Jesse, what do you think?
I am completely based on looks when it comes to a game like this.
You are a handsome man, so.
Oh, stop it. So, what my thought process is, I agree. I'm really cheap. Like, when it comes to vanity items, I rarely buy collector's editions of anything. So I probably won't unless it's something that looks visually stunning, and I know for a fact there's no way I could ever get that. Like, if it's some like super Inferno mega hard awesome mode. I don't even know what the hell it would be, but something that very few people have. Yet I see it, and it's cheap. I'd jump on that.
What are the chances of that happening, Jesse?
Very little. But I'm saying. But you asked if I would, and I'm
Sure,
saying
yeah.
that's the case. I would.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I wouldn't. Just because, again, it's a game, right? And so it's like, who knows how long I'll be playing? Maybe it's one of those weird things where I sort of like, I'm like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I'll probably buy stuff. I mean, I have to be quite honest. I will probably not initially because I think that'd be stupid. It's like It's like to think, you start off leveling, that gear gets replaced pretty quickly. I don't think I'd buy anything initially. But I think later on, it's been a few months and there's new games coming out that I'm covering and whatever, doing stuff for the YouTube channel or website. My playtime's pretty limited. Like, if it's not specifically related to making videos, my casual playtime for enjoyment is pretty limited. And knowing that, I'll probably, because I want to be able to, keep up with grinding with my good friends and stuff like that, or doing runs and making sure I'm comparable and compatible, and I want to be able to be effective in the arena too. I'll probably end up buying gear, and again, it's one of those things where instead of spending the 5 hours to grind for this gear, I will spend an hour or two worth of income and just purchase it. And the person who did spend that time to grind for the gear, they get the benefit, as we talked about, of now having money as a result of my purchase instead of me spending time trying to acquire some sort of equivalent to that thing that I'm purchasing. So that's how it's probably going to happen.
But it all falls under the whole time is money rule, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you're spending time farming
as the good goblins and Booty Bay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if you're spending the time to farm it, you could be doing something else to earn money, but that's what you're spending your time doing. And if you went and earned money and you want to buy it, you could have spent your time. Right, what is that? Opportunity cost? That's economics.
Yep.
Yeah.
College paid off.
Taking
Right?
It's macroeconomics. I'm taking that right now.
Freshman business class 101.
Yeah, college finally paid off. Oh, yes. Now all those student
write your
loans,
professor. Be like, I talked about economics in DiabloCast.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what it is. It's you could have been doing something else, and in a game like this, it balances out almost entirely. In MMOs, for example, there's a wishy-washy sort of like, you can go farm it in 2 seconds, and if, sell stuff, or that changes. But with this, because it's random and it takes time to do, it sort of balances out. I almost would say that I'm pretty 100% okay with this system.
And I think that's the only way it really works is because it's random. Because in an MMO like WoW, you can grind a specific boss for this exact piece of gear, but you can't do that in Diablo. And your chance of getting something is completely randomized. So I think that's why it works, and I think that's why people are kind of okay with the system.
I want to play devil's advocate real quick on something you said earlier about PvP. So what if, because of the real money auction house, they actually took out player rankings and competitive
I guarantee
PvP.
that. Like, I guarantee that's what's informing their decision. I'm absolutely
I'm sure it's
positive
definitely
that
a
they're
big
not
part.
going competitive because there would be too many complaints about the auction house.
Yeah.
It
That's
sucks.
a bummer for me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I'm not saying that that's a sole reason, but you are right. I guarantee if they ever decide to make it competitive and rank wise, they would have to have a completely different gear
hardcore
subset.
mode, hardcore subset.
They could do it in hardcore for sure if they're still going with the no real money auction house over there.
Actually,
That's what
didn't
I'm
they change
saying.
that?
No, I thought they kept that.
There was a poll, and they were just asking, but
okay.
for release, it's going to be gold auction house only, and I guess they're thinking about whether or not to add a real money one.
Right.
That's because they know of my Roman Colosseum idea, and they love it.
That's why they delayed
Do it,
PvP.
Blizzard. Do it, Blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You're right though, Jaded. It sucks, but part of the reason, I'm 100% certain, there's no question in my mind, they're like, all right, well, we have this game, we're not going to charge a subscription fee, we're going to try this real money auction house thing, it'll help the players because they can make money, we'll be able to make extra residual income off of it as well because they're taking their flat fee and their percentage transaction fee. And they said, oh shit, balance. and then realizing that there would be just too much of an uproar in the PvP community if they focused on competitive PvP. They're just like, all right, it's not going to be competitive. There you go. Problem solved, but not really, because it sucks. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but it's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. I'm 50, 60 years old. Who says those things? My grandparents.
Old people, I guess.
Yeah. All right. One last topic that I wanted to talk about, and this is running a bit over time, so we won't spend too much time on it, but I just wanted to bring this up. There was some discussion about kind of the skill in the game, specifically dealing with melee monsters hitting you when you go out of range of them. Bashok has stated that this is intentional. We don't want a game where the most effective way to play is to dodge in and out of enemy attacks. It's not that difficult to do, and it's just not very fun to play. Most effective and not fun can't be in the same sentence when describing part of a game. We want combat to be based off of use of abilities, putting thought into a build, building up offensive and defensive stats, etc. Skill is absolutely a part of the systems you'll use, and kiting can be too, but it'd be ridiculous if you could avoid all of the systems, like all of the attacks that enemies are throwing at you, that make the game because you can dodge enemy attacks and negate every other factor. So I thought this was pretty interesting because, I mean, he's fully acknowledging the fact that a lot of people consider dodging and avoiding attacks skill-based, and that we want it in the game because it is skill-based, because the elitist players, that many of us are, want to have that factor be incorporated. We want, our additional ability and our additional skill to have benefit to us. What Bashok is saying, and that Blizzard's stance is that they don't want us to focus on that, and they don't want us to do it just because it is most effective and most skill-based. They want us to actually focus on and enjoy the combat through the avenue of the way we use our abilities, builds that we put together, and having a proper pool of stats, offensive and defensive. So I think this is interesting, and talking about, like a skill-based thing. Kevin, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the notion that there's many stuff in this game that we won't be able to skill our way out of by dodging and avoiding?
It's a little bit of a shame. I mean, it kind of goes against their whole easy to learn, difficult to master philosophy. I mean, yeah, you can learn, cool, if I just move, then I can dodge this attack. And then, you actually have to do it. Again, that's their philosophy, easy to learn, difficult to master, but that kind of doesn't really match with what Bashok said here, which is kind of a shame. Although I guess it would kind of be ridiculous if you could just never get hurt, if you kind of figure out how this works and just never get hit. That'd kind of suck. I mean, I don't know. It's whatever, I guess. I mean, this isn't really too important. It's kind of silly because it doesn't really make sense, but I'm just curious as to whether or not there's going to be anything else of this nature.
Well,
go ahead, Jaded.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it would be. It'd be nobody getting hit. Like, I'm surprised so many people in the thread, actually, I went through and kind of read over some of the people. They're all, like, talking about, oh, you're lagging, or oh, this and that. But actually, it's a fundamental, like, gameplay thing. If you walk up to a monster, he swings his sword, and you just walk away. Like, sure, in an action game, or, like, first person, whatever, that would work. But here, like, it swings the sword, it's going to do the math, right? You can't just dodge out of it. But you can dodge out of any projectile stuff.
Yeah.
So anything like, long-range missiles and all that. So I see it as just like fundamental gameplay. Like, this is normal stuff. And everyone's kind of reading it the wrong way, in my opinion.
Up in arms about it. Jesse, what do you think about not being able to dodge melee attacks? Do you think it should be in there, or is it okay as is?
Honestly, I enjoy just killing everyone who gets in my way. So it doesn't matter to me.
You had no intention to ever dodge a thing.
No, blowing guys up is the fun of the game. I mean, all right. I guess that's sort of being a guy who only plays ranged classes in Diablo. I guess it's sort of specific, but if you're going in as a barbarian, I guess it can be a pain in the ass. You might want to just run away from guys. I can see that, but hurling, magical spells at guys is just fun. Watching them explode is enjoyable.
Well, think about like the cow level in D2. Everyone just like ran around, herded everything, never got hit, and then just blasted it all down. Like that's exactly what the gameplay would be like. It wouldn't be really interesting. And they just want you to use like your dodge skill, like your actual skills, to get out of the way of damage.
Yeah. And that is definitely a change from how it was in D2 and how it's going to be in D3. And from playing the beta, I have to be honest with you, this is nothing that actually ever ran across my mind. I mean,
me neither.
I am all for kiting and dodging, but that was always primarily focused on the ranged attacks. The melee attacks, things usually died so quickly it wasn't a big deal. And they're not saying like if you walk within 15 yards of a melee character, he's going to magnetize towards you and guarantee hit you. You can avoid and stay out of the range of melee characters by kiting around and keeping them at bay. But once they get within melee range of you, and like Jaded says, once that attack animation begins, the math is done and you get hit or missed or whatever, however the dice rolls with that. But once they're within that range and that whole process begins, you will get hit. But again, that's not to say that you can't avoid people incoming to you and prevent them from getting within that melee range in the first place. And that's kind of where the skill will be involved. It'll be more about positioning and laying down snares to keep those things at bay and prevent them from getting to you to begin with. And then also, of course, dodging projectiles and stuff like that. So
Another quick thing I noticed in the video that the guy posted originally was he didn't get hit by the grotesque, those big guys that explode when you kill them. And I'm thinking that's because of the knockback that mob has. Like, maybe it was just super annoying to try to run away from it and just get knocked back over and over. So I don't know. There's some interesting gameplay there.
Yeah. But I guess overall the consensus here seems to be that it's all right. And while playing, it never really crossed my mind because I was more focused on not, okay, once he has started swinging, can I avoid this? It's more about keeping the guys out of swinging distance from the get-go. I think it'll be all right. I don't think people need to be too concerned about it. All right, we're going to be wrapping things up here. The questions went a little bit longer than normally expected, so we'll just answer a couple of these really quickly here. First question coming from the Facebook page from Travis. Is there a second wave of 275,000 beta keys going out today, or is it just a continuation of the same keys that went out yesterday? It is the same. They're still in the process of kind of slowly doling out those keys over time. I think that, I don't know, it's a lot of keys to be that's a lot of accounts to be activating. I think it's just going to take them a little bit of time to get that whole thing sorted out, but yeah, that's still all happening. What is this next question here? How do you feel Blizzard has done with hyping D3 up? Personally, I find their Twitter key giveaway a horrible process. Thoughts? Yeah, I'm not too thrilled with the Twitter key giveaway. How did you guys feel about that thing?
It was pretty ridiculous. I mean, I didn't need a key, and I'm sure they didn't also. But I kind of watched, and one person was like, "Yeah, it just got posted 10 seconds ago, and it's gone already. Yeah. I waited all day for it." I'm like, yeah, that's
bots. I'm telling you, bots were a major issue in that giveaway. I guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee. Force any indication whether the life of pets will scale depending on the character level. Currently, the Skeleton King usually kills pets in a hit. Can't imagine them being realistic in later difficulties if they don't scale. I'm pretty much guaranteed that they're going to scale with level. I can't imagine that your level 5 zombie dogs are going to be the same once you hit level 60. Seems like that's pretty much a guarantee there.
I've got one. Have you heard any information on the order? Will it follow the D3 storyline or not? That's the Diablo 3 book that's coming out. And I guess we're not exactly sure. I think it's supposed to happen like either right before Diablo 3 or throughout Diablo 3. It's basically like
I thought it was supposed to be a parallel storyline.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, that's from what I understood. I mean, all I really saw was the kind of excerpt from the book.
That was the whole question? Okay.
Yeah, it was just about the book. I mean, that's coming out right along with the game on May 15th, so I'm kind of interested in that.
Next question from Jassim or Hassim. Will players that live in the US be able to use the European Real Money Auction House? Also, will people like me who have an EU account but live in the Middle East be able to use the EU Real Money Auction House? From what I understand, you can play in whatever region you want.
Yeah.
With one single account, but you have specific characters per that region, and you can only use that specific auction house. Is that how it's working out, Kevin?
You can only use the auction house tied to your account. So if you have a European account, you can always use the European auction house.
Okay.
But then, yes,
you can still make characters on the other servers.
Right, you can play on any server. The only thing is, like you said, you can only have a certain set of characters per region. So your North American characters are on North America. You can't use those on Europe, and you can't trade them. Like, you can't swap them.
And that also goes with the money as well. You can't use your euros that you have in the in the EU servers to buy like that's something they like your bulk account or whatever it was, where all your saved money is.
Yeah.
You can't go around and spend that
Switching
in different
currencies.
places. Yeah, there's no currency switch.
I wonder do you think that has something to do with exchange rates and all that mumbo jumbo?
I'm positive it is,
Probably,
because people would go back and forth. Like, EU would go to the US ones and just steal all the good stuff, and US ones we'd be trying to see what the different Asian markets had. Yeah. So I guarantee that's what would happen. So they just said, screw it, you're not allowed to.
One more question. I think this is kind of a fun one to go out. We can do some speculation here. Question from Gabriel. What do you think the expansion pack classes will be? What systems do you think will arrive with an addition to the game? Hopefully not too late after release. Also, I believe Blizzard is cooking up something fancy in the kitchen in terms of PvP. Are they redoing the whole thing for competition and balance? For the last thing, I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure they're just kind of iterating on the PvP system. I'm pretty positive for a multitude of reasons, and the auction house being one of them, that they're not looking to competitive PvP unless it's a completely separate system like WoW test PvP servers for tournaments and with set gear and set abilities and stuff like that. Unless that happens, I don't see the live game having that. But what do you think, guys? Any hopes, wishes, desires for expansion pack classes and also game systems to come with them? How about we start with you, Jesse? Is there anything in particular you want to see come in an expansion?
I not even playing the actual real, I don't know what I could expect. I mean, it's just
well, how about classes? Do you want any T2 classes to come back, or?
I don't. It seems like they have all their bases covered when it comes to that. I'm not sure what else they could bring
I guess the only
back
real thing that doesn't have sort of a somewhat resembling character would probably be the druid.
Right.
Sort of. I mean, this is the Witch Doctor, kinda.
Because like the paladin is sort of, a paladin is sort of like a monk, and the Amazon as well as the assassin is sort of like the demon hunter. Like the demon hunter has traps, that's a big part of it.
And the monk as well. Like, all the classes are hybrids of what existed before.
Exactly.
Druid.
Well, I mean,
what about the sorceress?
It's just a wizard.
Maybe perhaps some kind of touched character that either has angelic powers or demonic powers.
I was taking that a completely different direction.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
sorry.
Can I give you this?
I was trying to think of what that's called in the Diablo verse, but maybe. Well, I guess you're right. See, so I have no idea. I'm more concerned about story for expansions because I'm a big story nerd. So not experiencing what happens in the game yet, I have no clue what I would even expect.
Yeah.
But I can safely say that Diablo 2 and then the expansion pack flowed so well together and continued the story and added new stuff. So I have no doubt, no matter what it will be good.
And Jaded, you said the sorceress. Do you not feel the wizard is a close enough representation of that?
Oh no, I was just joking because they're so similar, but they're different names. I actually get them mixed up all the time when I record.
Yeah.
So do I. I always say sorcerer or wizard when talking about my character.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of DiabloCast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and a special thanks to our new guest, Jaded. It was nice having you on the show. Appreciate your time. And
it's nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
Chatting about Diablo. So for Jesse, Kevin, and Jaded, this has been Dennis. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.
Take it easy, everybody.
Adios.
See ya.
I guess I'm not important to give my opinions on what I want to see in an expansion.
Oh, I thought you chimed in with Jesse. Well, you
No,
can
I
do
was
it
gonna go
now.
on a little
No
spiel,
one
like,
cared.
Talisman, Mystic, like all kinds of cool stuff. The only thing I could really think of is like a scoundrel type character, but I mean then it's the follower.
Well, you can play as my follower. That's fine.
Dude, how cool would that be?
That's-
Again, that's like single player with the optional co-op. I think that'd be so sick. They should do that on a console. They should let the second player be a follower. Boom.
No, I want
Mind
to play as Imperius.
That'd be kind of cool. like beast mode or whatever from Gears of War. You play as the bad guys.
Yeah.
That'd be so sick.
I'm Imperius in real life. Spoiler.